Chapter 135 to 136. Shh. Jack, badly wounded and fried, fell on his back, making a thud sound. At some places of his body, like elbows, knees, and neck, the flesh under his skin was visible as his thick skin was already burned. After all, plasma is hot. As hot as Kaido's heat breath, which can literally destroy mountains. But how can Amon, who has lightning logia, control plasma? It is simple. It's because lightning in itself is plasma. It is basic science. Canon Enel and Amon could always use plasma, like how Enel's Elthor managed to create massive craters in the ground due to the heat. However, that was not what one would call pure plasma. To use the pure plasma, Amon had to surpass a certain voltage output and achieve a certain level of control over his devil fruit. Currently, the reason he's able to manipulate plasma is that plasma is just superheated gas made up of charged ions, and Amon controls those ions using his ability to manipulate electric fields. It was hard to achieve, but after 4 years of nerve-wracking training, Amon finally obtained it. The crew, along with Ace, just gasped. Their lips bobbled. That's all? It was an incredible achievement. One-shotting a Yonko commander was an unachievable feat. However, before they could get anywhere more with this, Jack's body shook. A loud grumble sounded out. Ah! Jack, surprising everyone, stood up slowly. That was quite powerful. Who are you? Of course, Amon didn't care enough to answer. Unfortunately for Jack, with Amon's terribly big reserve, he can spam this attack another 1,000 times. Arg! While Jack was enduring the pain and finally managed to fully stand up, Amon raised his palm in the air, facing his chest again. Good grief, just die already. Woom! Amon's palm glowed, blinding the place in dazzling light as another beam came out of his palm. Zah! Boom! Explosion! The beam came out of his hand and headed towards the surprised Jack, exploding the moment it touched his body. Again? Something at that level? Is a repeatable attack? The crew shouted in shock and surprise. It truly was a surprise after all. Jack was the person who almost killed all of them. Ace regained his composure a little as he looked at Amon's back. He never thought of this before. But if this man can do something like this, he must be at Emperor level himself. Teleportation, water manipulation, now fire powers. How many more abilities does he have? Ace thought with his fist clenched and sweat falling down his back. Amon and Ace, they both agreed before that they would both try to kill him, since they both held a grudge against Jack. It would be a first-come, first-serve. So, at this rate, it was certain that Amon would be the one to kill. After holding his fist tight for a while, his grip loosened as he sighed. I am thinking too much. It's fine, as long as Jack's death is witnessed by my eyes. Ace lowered his head and stared at Jack with burning eyes. Zhh. As Amon stopped his attack, Jack fell on his back again, more wounded than before. However, not so long after, he got up yet again. Huff! You bastard! Huffing, he yelled and rushed towards Amon with his trunk raised. I will kill you! Jack's hybrid form had less defensive powers than his mammoth form, so it was natural that he would transform right now, and he was doing just that. Roar! Jack's trunk started to spin in the air like a helicopter as he thrashed it downwards. Bam! Surprising him, Amon blocked it with his left hand and grabbed his trunk with his right hand, trying to slam him to the ground by it. However, that was all. He tried, but he failed. Jack's mammoth body was too big, so even if Amon had enough strength, he didn't have enough size to back it up. Jack laughed, seeing this. Ha 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 ha, do you think you can throw me like this with our puny bod? Zzz. Before Jack could finish his words, Amon's body suddenly grew along with his clothes. Thunder Giant, hybrid form. Amon used a better version of his previous legendary Super Saiyan transformation. His body grew and grew until it became 60.7 feet tall, slightly bigger than Jack's mammoth form. Jack's eyes grew as he felt his body slowly rising in the air. "What?" Before Jack could say anything more, Amon picked him up by his trunk and slammed him to the ground. Bam! That wasn't enough, though. As soon after, Amon made a sphere of lighting on his palm similar to Whitebeard's when he uses his quake powers. This is an advanced version of shockwave creation that comes with Rumble Fruit's rumble powers, which he once used in Alabasta's palace to break all the windows. With his palm like that, Amon grabbed Jack's head like how WB did to some vice admirals in Marineford. Crack! Lighting danced inside the sphere, damaging Jack's brain aggressively as his eyes soon slowly turned white. He mumbled his last words. Impossible. Jack's eyes turned white. His consciousness faded. He was forced to turn into his human form. Amon didn't waste any time. He grabbed Jack's neck and shocked his brain into consciousness again. Jack didn't get the chance to understand why and how this was happening, because using his giant arms, Amon had lightly tossed Jack into the air and punched him in the stomach, sending him meters away, landing on the mansion. Bam! While the mansion crumbled down and the Spade pirates looked at the one-sided match with wide mouths, Amon ignored them and teleported 100 meters away in front of Jack, proceeding to grab him by his neck again. This time around, Jack couldn't exert any strength or hockey and was on the verge of losing consciousness, so this was the perfect moment to use hypnosis on him and ask what his fruit was. Yes, even on such strong people, hypnosis would work as long as they are beaten like this and are on the verge of losing consciousness. "Jack," Amon said. His voice was vibrating. This was also a more efficient way to hypnotize someone than using a pocket watch. "Tell me what your fruit's appearance was." Meanwhile, outside the broken mansion. "Hey, should we go in there? It's already been around 5 minutes," Perry said, looking at Ace. Ace couldn't say anything. He just clenched his fist right. How weak he was. He understood if Amon was an enemy, he could have one-shotted him. And I was thinking of challenging Kaido, the strongest creature. Blood dripped from Ace's fist because he was clenching it too hard. Not so long after, Amon, who was back to his normal size, walked out of the debris of the building while pulling an unconscious Jack by his long blonde hair. "Ace!" Amon shouted, and threw Jack in front of Ace. "Finish him!" "What is this?" Ace questioned himself. Why was Amon allowing him to kill this bastard? Didn't he want to kill him as well? As if knowing his question, Amon opened his mouth while looking at him. "I have already granted him the pain I wanted to deliver. Although the fire of revenge hasn't subsided within me, I assume you also want to take revenge for Deuce." Ace was shocked to hear this, but Amon just grinned under his mask. "So do it. Kill him." A few seconds passed under silence. Ace opened his mouth but closed it in the end. "It doesn't matter. I understand," he muttered. He will take the chance and kill him, obviously. In truth, there was a reason why Amon was asking Ace to kill Jack now. It was because 40 minutes ago, on the northeast side, the crew left the ship to search for Jack. In the middle of Onigashima, in Kaido's mansion, a young female was sneaking around with a club similar to Kaido's in her hand. Hiding behind a box inside a room, the girl tried her best to avoid the incoming patrollers. A few minutes passed as the patrollers left the room. Releasing a large sigh, she then mumbled, "Father is out. It's the best time to escape." The girl was Yamato, Kaido's delusional son. She wants to become like Odin and save Wano, so with no other way left, Kaido has put a collar on her neck, which will explode if she tries to leave Onigashima. Yamato looked at the collar in her neck. He was obviously bluffing when he said it would explode. Or so she believed. Anyway, she didn't care. What she now needs to do is Escape Onigashima using a ship on the northeast side. Yamato prayed. This is a flawless plan. I will succeed. She clenched the diary in her hand. This diary was very precious to her, so she would take this with her. I will escape. Although she did think initially, all the sound of explosions near Jack's mansion attracted her while she was running towards a ship. She sneaked in there, hoping she will get to witness something interesting. But what was this? Fire Fist! Who would have thought that she would witness the death of Jax in the hand of a chest-naked man wearing an orange hat with a tattoo of Ace on his hand? Ace Pav. Jack was in front of me, lying unconscious. I felt my blood boil. Now, Ace, go for the head. Hearing Mr. Fool's statement, I clenched my fist. Jack's defense in his mammoth form was high, but in his human form, it's nothing extraordinary since he can't even use hockey. He is unconscious, so this is the best time to kill him. Still, I can't believe it. Am I going to kill a human? The thought made me hesitate a little. I hesitated for 7 seconds before clenching my jaws. It didn't matter anymore. I don't care anymore. He killed Deuce, so he has to die. I was grateful that Mr. Fool is giving me this chance. I am sure he also wants to kill him, yet he is being considerate of me. Ja! As if to cheer me up, my hands lit up. It was fire, a fist made of fire. I looked at Jack's head. His metallic jaw mask was still there. I decided to melt it. I raised my hand in the air and targeted Deuce's killer, Jack's head. Deuce! I yelled on top of my lungs while tears fell down my cheeks. Look at this! My fist went towards Jack's jaw mask as it caught fire, melting itself down, melting down his mouth in the process as well. This is the fire I obtained after your death! Look how it burns this bastard! Deuce! Melting his mouth wasn't enough, though. Zah! The fire soon caught up to his hair and started to burn his whole body. I fell on my knees. I punched the ground. I felt my heart calm down by a lot. It's as if I lost a large weight from my shoulders. Kneeling on the ground, I yelled at the sky with a tear and snot-filled face. Deuce, wherever you are, be happy. I have finally succeeded at taking revenge, but I wasn't really happy. The emotion I was suppressing up until now burst out as I started to cry. I was going to cry some more, but a voice brought me out of my dream world. Who are you guys? General Pov. Who are you guys? Suddenly, a voice brought Ace out of his world as he looked around with blurry eyes. The figure of a young woman entered his eyes. She was wearing a kimono and a pair of horns on her head while wielding a spiky club. It was Yamato. From the side, Amon grinned ear to ear under his mask. Obviously, he knew that Yamato was nearby. That's why he asked Ace to kill Jack in the first place, rather than killing him by himself. Mission 1, completed. Now he just has to snatch her diary and escort Ace out of here. What can go wrong? I asked you a question, she shouted again, her eyes shaking the ashes left behind by Jack's body. Yamato hated her father, but seeing one of her father's precious people getting killed like this still hit her hard. She again prepared to shout, "Hey, you guys!" But Amon moved. He simply teleported behind her and chopped her in the neck at a high speed. Feeling the attack coming, Yamato tried to block the attack using her Thunder Bagura but failed miserably. She silently fell down, knocked unconscious. While nobody was looking, Amon grabbed the diary from her belt and put it in the bag beside him. It was filled with dials and 2 fruits. Surprisingly, one of the fruits was slowly changing, starting to possess encrypts. Mission 2, complete. Amon just put Yamato down on the ground. He would have brainwashed her, but unfortunately, she has advanced Conqueror's Haki, so it would be impossible. Amon stood up as he put Yamato down. Ace! We shouldn't waste any more time. Let's go back. Ace nodded shortly after. It was time for Mission 3, safely getting out of Wano. Same time. Meanwhile, in Skypea, the new thriller bark was being modified once again. This time around, a secret city was being made under the island. Here, with the main island as a cover, the sun itself would be shunned and blighted. This would be a land where the red moon light bulbs never sets, where the solar eclipse never ends. A land forever lost in desolation, never to be graced by caressing warmth. This is a prison. Yes, Amon needs a prison for the ones who disobey him, and Yona will be the warden of that prison. Currently, only a few very loyal Birkins were here, in the underground of Thriller Bark. They were constructing a jail, a prison that is planned to be more secure than Impel Down. They were giving their all to make it perfect, just as Amon wished. Both Robin and Rocky were here to help Yona. They were also giving their all. At least Robin was. Currently, besides the Birkins, most of the workers were zombies made by shadows. Yona, who was standing between Robin and Rocky, shouted, "Hey, Yona 4, go to the south area. Help Yona 11. She was shouting towards Jonas. Currently, there also were more than 10 Jonas working while the main Yona was managing them. This was the... Moria could use it as well, but he could only make one clone. But by mixing her own shadow particles with other people's shadows, she can make multiple shadow clones. Obviously, the idea wasn't hers, it belonged to Amon. Beside Yona, Rocky and Robin were standing. While Robin was helping the construction by materializing extra hands from here and there, Rocky looked at Yona with a bright smile. "Hey, Yona, want to go out? I will take you to the best restaurant in Gran Tesoro." With giving her a glance, Yona just shook her head. "No, and stop it or I will tell Kami-sama." "Fuck!" Rocky gritted her teeth but didn't give up. "Then what about your clone? At least give me one of them." Hearing this, Yona frowned and turned around to face her. Her eyes were glowing. The atmosphere suddenly turned wild. Suddenly, Rocky gulped and took steps back. Yona, calm down. Ah!" Before Rocky could finish her words, Yona kicked her shadow, making Rocky fly a dozen meters away. Boom! Rocky crashed into a crumbling building. "I told you to stop." Meanwhile, Robin just sighed from the sidelines. She stroked Yona's hair. "Yona, don't hit her every time. She is just desperate." "Okay." Yona nodded and enjoyed Robin's hand. Robin giggled lightly and opened her mouth, looking around the prison. "Anyway, let's hurry up. Let's make this place perfect according to the blueprint." Same time. In Curie, Otama was patiently waiting for Amon to return. It's been a few hours since they left. She assumed it would take a few days for them to return. Yet, she couldn't wait. She was scared. What if they leave her like this? Otama really wanted to travel the sea with Amon and see how the outside world is. She would be greatly disappointed if Amon leaves her here after giving her false hope. She looked down. There was a bowl full of food in her hand, but she didn't have the appetite. Beside her, Hitetsu sighed. "Otama, eat your food, or you will lose weight. How are you going to become a kunoichi then?" Otama shook her head. "Grandpa, I won't just be any kunoichi. I am going to be the best and travel with Mr. Brother." A laugh soon entered the room from outside. "Ha ha, Otama, that's why you need to eat your food." It was Amon's voice. "Mr. Brother, you are back." "Anyway, we need to leave quickly, or a ferocious dragon might come, you see." While Otama made an O face, Hitetsu released a long breath and stood up. This meant they succeeded in killing Jack. This proved Amon had enough strength to protect Otama. Hitetsu opened his mouth after hearing Amon. "You are gonna leave so soon?" Amon showed his seriousness by his visible eyes. "Yes, or things might go haywire." "I see." He bowed suddenly. "Then I would ask you for the last time, please take care of Otama. Make sure she gets a good childhood." Amon nodded with a light laugh. He didn't know how much good of a childhood she will get to experience with the creepy Karna as her playmate. He can already imagine him saying, "Did you bring this girl for me? Can I dissect her?" Otama ran and hugged his legs tightly. Meanwhile, the Spade pirates were standing behind him, all of their heads down. Knowing their thoughts, Amon stroked Otama's hair and looked at Ace. "Ace, do you want to stay here for a while? Or leave right now?" Ace barely formed a smile, but it looked bitter. "Do what is better. I trust you." Amon just nodded and opened his mouth. "Then I suggest, let's leave." Soon they prepared the Spade pirates' ship. Amon is supposed to escort them back to risky Red Island. Finally, Otama broke down crying. She hugged Hitetsu tightly for half an hour, while Hitetsu asked Amon to knock her unconscious. It was better for her to leave with Amon. She will get good enough to grow up fast. Surprising the Kuri inhabitants, Hitetsu went to Amon with a sword in his hand, holding respectfully. He bowed towards him deeply. "For someone like you, who has the Kitetsu Eye and also the Kitetsu Third, it would only be natural for you to have the Kitetsu too as well." He raised his head and looked at the surprised eyes of Amon. "Truthfully, I am giving this as a token of gratitude for taking Otama with you, as this is the only treasure I have. I thank you very much. Please accept it." Amon sighed as to show some decency, but accepted in the end. With this, his decent guy period also ended. 9 hours later, Onigashima. On the other hand, the Beast's pirates had arrived at where Jack's mansion was and found the ashes of Jack's body. However, since Amon had hidden Yamato's unconscious body within the ruined mansion, they couldn't find her. Around 9 hours later, Yamato barely opened her eyes. The first thing she saw was the silhouette of a giant man falling over her body. "Yamato, what happened here?"